Patterson casually dressed with a purple shirt on here, not supporting Northwestern, just doing the TCU thing, but kind enough to take time after going to Bristol yesterday to come here. Hey, listen, Gary, this system, if you're not going to say it, I will. It's elitist, it's exclusionary. So the argument becomes TCU and Boise, who's better. They made a pretty strong statement last night.
Yeah, they did. They played well, and you can't take anything away from Chris and his team. And you know, we've never argued nor have ever said that Boise wasn't a good football team.
You know, the 9 teams that you have beaten have a combined record of 4 wins over BCS teams. The 4 wins includes Washington State, Iowa State, Washington, and Pittsburgh. Only one of those teams has a winning record. How do you think that factors in the perception of your team?
Well, I don't have any control over who they play, but what we did do early in our season, we put Oregon State on the schedule with ESPN early in the season because we knew they had 20 starters coming back, and we knew they were a quality opponent, along with Baylor, which has had a, has a bowl game type team this year. So for us, we could just control what we could control.
Coach, you got Oregon up at 1, Auburn up at 2. If there is an upset, those teams control their own destiny. If there is an upset, there's a big raging debate between TCU should go or Boise State should go. State your case on why you think TCU should go and get that spot if Auburn or Oregon is upset.
Well, for me, I've never ever compared us. We both have good football teams. The one thing I would say since 2005 when we beat Oklahoma with Adrian Peterson, we've been on a run and we've never backed down. 15-3 against BCS teams. We're 2-0 against Stanford, which is in the top 10 in the last 4 years. And everybody that's ever stepped up, just like Boise, we played them and we played them well. So we would take anybody on. We feel like we deserve it. We got the chance and we'd play well.
Explain how your players feel, how your staff and you feel about the lack of control. You guys blast Utah by 40. They look terrible against Notre Dame. You take on San Diego State. You're dominating the game, and it could be, Gary, that a couple of late touchdown passes that they threw to make it a 5-point game, that could cost you because everybody says Boise's gaining in that decimal point race in the BCS. If that ends up deciding your bowl fate, how frustrating is that going to be?
Well, it's always been. We lost out on a BCS game a few years ago to Florida State because of the way the rules were with the whole situation. So for me, we're going to control what we have to control. That's what I've taught my team. You got to play on game day. It's our fault that it was 40-35, and we have to go on. But my hat's off to Chris and Boise for what they've done. My hat's off to my players because they've had a tremendous season. We need to finish out, and then we'll find out what everybody decides.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you a question about BCS at-large picks. It seems to me, and I think we all agree, whether it's fair or unfair, a lot of times they make those picks based on television sets and who brings a lot of fans to be able to fill up hotel rooms. It is what it is.
Yes.
Can you state your case for TCU if you do not get to the championship game? TCU to not be in a BCS bowl game is ridiculous. Can you state your case on why you think TCU should be a BCS at-large team?
Well, I think if you asked the Fiesta Bowl last year, we brought 35,000. Our people spent money. They stayed all week. As far as the fans and the amount of money of what we're going to do for the BCS game, it's uncomparable. TCU's going to travel. As far as us and playing in the ball game, I think that you need to understand that we are high profile. And I'm a fan, not just a coach. The thing that I like about it is, and I'm scared of it, and one for everybody else, is I don't want the BCS to understand to lose me as a fan. If you lose me as a fan, you take an undefeated team, you don't allow them to play in a BCS game because they're one of the top 4 teams in the nation, and that's a travesty. And it's one of the reasons why I was at ESPN yesterday, is to make sure that everybody understands that I need to support my team and my community.
Well, we got some light reading for you in the plan right on, which is Depth of the BCS. If you want to read up on some of the lovely aspects of the bowl system, you can feel free. Thanks for taking time. Gary Patterson, they got to be big fans of Alabama and South Carolina Auburn opponents and the Oregon opponents. That's the way it is. These games are all interconnected.
If they don't get to a BCS bowl game, forget the championship game. The BCS bowl game after that, no. We'll discuss that, I guess, in a few weeks down the road.
You're going to jump off the bandwagon too if that happens. St. John was Gary. We'll see you down the line. To be continued. We'll be here next week talking about it, and the week after, and maybe for years after that. But this is not the only Halloween.